two important things that you need to understand with the word problems that we're going to be using. And that is understanding that the word is in math, most of the time, is going to mean equals. So example, if I were to say 7 plus 3 is, you would say 10. Well, you know that that means equals. I'm going to go ahead and add them together and tell her what the equal or what the sum of those two numbers is. Okay, in math, the word of can be substituted in most of the time with a multiplication x. Okay, so at the top of the screen, I was just kind of reviewing over the concepts that I covered on the previous screen. So once again, if I had 4%, that percent sign has our 1. You'll notice here in the black, and then our 2 circles to create over 100. This could then be reduced to 1 over 25 if I had to reduce it down. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and work with these two word concepts today. Okay, so solving for a percent of a number, or the opposite where they might want us to solve for the whole part. So it says when solving an equation that involves a percent, you must convert that percent to its decimal or its fraction form first. Now, if you wanted to work off of its fraction form, that's okay. You will be allowed to use a calculator when you're working through these. Even on the Iowa assessment part of this test, I believe is on the portion where you can use your calculator, okay? And we're being realistic. If I wanted to do this in the real world, I would pull my calculator out and use it, unless it was like a really easy percentage to kind of calculate in my head. So here I've got what number. So wherever I see the word what, whether it's what number, what percent, what fraction, when I see the word what, that's telling me that's the part that I don't know. So the part that we don't know in math is the variable. So I'm going to put a letter, so I'm going to just use W. In math, we said is means equals. 24%, when we do this, we need to change it either to its decimal or its fraction form. Now, I like to work its decimal form because with fractions, you have to remember all of those different rules. It's not easy to do fractions on your calculator. So we'll go ahead and change this to its decimal form. Plus, that's good practice. Understanding that I have 2 circles on my percent, and I want to move 2 away from that percent sign because I want to get it from being away from being a percent. So 2 circles means 2 places. It becomes 0.24. In math, of means times, and then 50. Okay, so I have W, just to write these closer together, equals 0.24 times 50. Now we have to work it as a one-step equation. So I need to make sure that on my one side of the equal sign, W is by itself. So I get to do exactly what it says. I'm going to do 0.24 times 50. So I'm going to pull my calculator out, do 0.24 times 50. And when I do that, it gives me 12. So I just found out that what number, or 12, is 24% of 50. Okay, so that's working. As I assess you on this portion of the chapter, I will expect you to write the equation, so you have to get comfortable. I know some of you, there's not a whole lot of you, but some of you will be able to solve these. You're understanding the problem, just reading through it. You'll be able to solve and answer what 12 is. Maybe you know that you're going to divide or you're going to multiply or whatever. I still want to see your equations. I am also going to be assessing you on, can you write the equation from the word format? So make sure that you are practicing that, even if you understood how to solve this without the equation that I had you write, okay? Then when you're going ahead and taking your own assessment on STAR and Iowa assessment, then you can choose for yourself. But for right now, I want you to practice using that concept. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve another one. So here we have what number is 150% of 40. So once again, here's my what number. So I don't know, I'm going to put a letter. Is means equals 150%. Remember, we have to move 2 places away. Only 2. There's only 2 circles on that percent sign. So 2 places away would make this 1.50 or just 1.5. Of means times 40. So once again, check to make sure where your letter is. And here's our equal sign. The W is by itself. So I can go ahead and do 1.5 times 40. And that gives me 60. So I just found out that W equals 60. So 60 is 150% of 40. Okay, so here's our next one. What number is 10% of 20? So I want you to go through, write out your equation, solve for your letter. Okay, so go ahead and pause your video and work your way through this equation. Okay, so for your equation, you should have ended up with W, or whatever letter you chose, equals 0.1 times 20. And when you solve that, you should have gotten your W, or your number, equals 2. So here, 2 is 10% of 20. One thing that I will say is if you didn't have that, double check your percentage. Did you remember to write it out in its decimal form, or to punch it in on your calculator in its decimal form? If you're working the fraction, that's okay. Just remember that as you work in the fraction form, that you have to create that 20 also into a fraction, okay? Okay, so now we're gonna work with some of them where they're wanting us to